Hey guys, welcome back to the video. It's currently Mother's Day. Tell your mom I said hi. Hopefully you guys have a great Mother's Day. And I decided to go out and buy some airlift products for my 2002 F350 7.3 POWERSTROKE four-wheel drive. The truck's lower, 2 inches in the front, 2 inches in the back. Oh, it's just a beautiful truck. And I wanted to put some airbags because I've been doing some towing lately. And even though it's an F350, I hate the squat. Nobody likes the dog leg or the squat. And I did some research and I got a compressor. And I also got a set of bags for my truck. Now the kit for the compressor we're going to be installing today is part number 2580. Also, you get your control panel there, your wiring, some extra wiring, some air hose. You also get your T-fitting, some zip ties there. And then I recommend you guys at least flip open to page number 4 and look at the compressor mounting location bulletin. 4 things you guys want to avoid is high heat, don't mount it underneath the hood, check the compressor, make sure the harness is good, it's not going to chafe on anything. And then also it even states the compressor can be mounted anywhere in any direction, up, down, left, right. I'm going to be currently mounting it to where my spare tire used to be. I'll show you guys that later in the video. And I actually ordered the bags and the compressor kit, but unfortunately the compressor kit came in Friday. I ordered it Thursday. You gotta love Amazon Prime. And again, I'll leave a link in the description below. It's a non-affiliated, so you guys go buy it at your own discretion. I don't make any reimbursement on it. Remember to mount your compressor in a dry location. Keep it away from your exhaust, hot things like that. So let's go ahead, get the truck up. And you guys want to underneath my truck. Oh, you just gotta love trucks from the south. Look at that. Yes, I have a backup camera installed, but anyways, axle dump. All right, so on a serious note, we're underneath the truck and I'm looking where to install this compressor at. All right, so I'm thinking this is where the spare tire used to be. So I'm thinking, honestly, since I have this bracket still here, what you guys could do is you guys could probably actually just mount this thing in the frame, because look how small this thing is. So you guys could go inside the frame rail, or you guys could go up underneath here, underneath the bed. What I'm thinking is, tires there, I've got mud flaps. Tires there, got mud flaps. So, and there's really not much room up here with the exhaust and everything. I don't want to mount it underneath the bed just in case. So what I'm really thinking is the best spot is honestly just right inside the actual bracket for the spare tire. And it fits in here, no problem. I mean, and it's, let's see, and I mean it fits in there great. So I'm thinking that's where I'm going to put it. It's up high, it's mounted flat, and this is basically its own little splash shield. I mean, it's encaged, it's away from a lot of water and everything, because a lot of the water is going to be splashing that way from tires, and then a lot of water up here is really not going to be the problem. And then the vents, the intakes are still at the highest point. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to put it here. I'm probably going to turn it this way because you guys can see we don't really have much meat to screw into. So what I did was I went ahead, did 2 marks there, 2 marks there. I held the compressor up and just use a permanent marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill from the bottom, then I'm going to put some nuts and bolts from the top, and the compressor is going to sit in there like that from the top. All right, you guys, we got our 4 holes drilled, 2 over here, 2 over here. And what I did was I'm actually using the supplied self-tapping screws. These are actually a, what size are they? These are a 3/8 or a 9mm, and these are actually nice stainless steel screws so they won't rust. And again, I'm drilling from the bottom so I can go ahead and put them through the top. This is some 1/4 inch thick material, so it will take a minute to drill in your back, so suck it up. The self-tapping screws with a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 drive impact went through it like butter. All right, you guys, so looking at the installation diagram here, it cannot be any simpler. So we have our 15 amp fuse coming from our main power source into one side of the switch here, one of these contacts in the back. Then the other side of that switch will come over and feed the positive of the compressor. Then obviously the compressor will get grounded, and you guys saw we're going to install it. We're simply just going to attach it to one of the mounting screws, and I have my grinder here to make that frame look nice and shiny so we have a good solid connection for the ground. And then the outlet side, or the feed for the actual compressor, will go to the T-fitting which is right here, and then that will tee off to our bags. This diagram cannot get any simpler. So I got my wiring all ran. I got our ground here. So what I did was I've got 3 main self-tapping screws fed from the top to the bottom going through, as you guys can see right there. Again, there's plenty of room to get up here. It's annoying to kind of, you know, get your hand up, but there's plenty of room on both sides to work in the compressor. And I took the ground on the last one and I just ran the self-tapping screw up, so we've got 3 holding it. It's not going anywhere. And then here's another view from this side. You guys can see the compressor is accessible. Now with the nipple coming out of the compressor right there, I'm going to run it through this hole, or I might even run it through this back one here, and I'm just going to loop down through the frame, and then the bags will be mounted there and mounted there, and we can simply just run our line across this bed rail here, and it's a nice simple install. Start the cab. I mounted my air gauge here. I had a little piece of ABS plastic, and I mounted it here with a couple of self-tapping screws, and I originally was going to mount it over there on the left side of the blinker, but the blinker and the shifter and these little flat areas were still in the way, and I didn't want to have to, you know, have a distraction or anything. You're probably thinking, well, this gauge is way over here. Yeah, it's kind of far, but I can simply just lean my head over and see the gauge here. It's nice and big. It's a 2-inch gauge, so you really can't miss it. Also, if I have a passenger or something, tell them, hey, you know, pump my bags up to 20 psi. Okay, so you just go ahead, set the switch. You need to drop pressure, you just hit the bleed off valve. Obviously you guys don't hear anything because the bags are not on the truck. So I just went ahead and mounted it here, and what I did was I like to run all my wiring even on both sides. I don't like to run everything on the driver's side. So what I did was I mounted this bezel so I can take it in and out if I need to service this or change the gauge out, whatever the case may be. Instead of popping the whole dash bezel off, you can just pop this front faceplate off. Ran it behind the glove box, up underneath the kicker panels, up underneath the truck, up inside the frame rail, and it comes back underneath the truck back here, and we'll go ahead and check that out. All right, and here it is. So you guys see, I mounted it inside. You guys can see that here is our T-fitting. Now we have our main inlet coming from the compressor. This goes to the gauge, or from the gauge, and then our last feed coming out of the T will be the one that goes right to the bags, and that will come up, you know, come over down the frame into the bags itself. So self-explanatory, you just ran the wires all the way up. It's not that hard to do. And my truck's an extended cab short bed, and I just had enough nylon tubing to do this, just to let you guys know. So if you guys have a crew cab short bed or a crew cab long bed, you guys might want to go out and get yourself some extra nylon tubing. Got the truck suspended by 2 6-ton jack stands up underneath the rear hitch. Pull your rear wheels off. It's much easier, gives you much more room to work in here. Now, something you guys might notice is I have a set of track bars that I custom made. And also I'm using the 2011 and up style U-bolt hardware. So I could use these aftermarket traction bar brackets. So instead of using the traditional U-bolts where they go from the bottom to the top, mine go from the top to the bottom. Now, my truck also is an F350, so we have these auxiliary springs or the overloads. And this overload is very, very thick. So we're gonna go ahead, just use our U-bolts, come from the bottom, put our spacer in, because we need to clear this top hat for the U-bolts to sit down on. And then what we have to do is we'll have to drill a couple holes in the frame, and then also in instructions, this e-brake stud here that holds the e-brake cable, we have to undo this and flip it to the inside. So we got to do that to make more clearance. You guys will need a 15mm deep socket to undo that. I went ahead and took mine off now. This will come out from the inside of the frame. Here's the nut. And what we have to do is, originally this stud hangs out like that. We need to put the stud on the inside. So we'll go ahead, see if we can do this one-handed. All right, and that will sit in there like that. And then we'll just put the nut on the back side. Just reach your arm around, get your hand up in here, and go ahead and put that back on. All right, you guys, so once you flip that bolt around, it should look just like this. Basically what we have to do is get a flat spot so that stud's not sticking out so it doesn't puncture the airbag. So take one of your bags, you're gonna have a top and a bottom. The top obviously is gonna have the one that has 3 holes, so this is gonna be upright. So we're gonna take our bracket, put it to the side, grab yourself one of these roll plates. The raised edge goes up. Obviously, line your feed for your 90. That'll go there in 1 second. So now you're gonna need 2 hex bolts, 2 lock washers, 2 flat washers. This bracket will sit on the top like that. You'll line the 3 holes up and go ahead and put your bolts in really quick. Let's go ahead and do that. And screw down. Go ahead and assemble this all just hand tight for right now. We'll go back and snug it all up later. Screw a second bolt in. You go ahead, take your air fitting. That'll screw in here. It's already got a little bit of Teflon seal on it. So all you got to do is go ahead and just get this started by hand. And they want this hand snug and then a turn and a half. I'm going to be using a 12 millimeter wrench, or excuse me, 13 millimeter wrench to tighten this. Again, don't snug it down where it strips it out. You go right there. And these fittings swivel, so don't worry, it doesn't matter what way you tighten it. Once you get it inside the truck, you guys can adjust the inside and out. The brackets, top and bottom, are slotted for fine adjustability. Go ahead, flop your bag over. Now you guys will have 2 nut certs on the bottom. One has a rolled edge or a radius edge. This is going to go on the inside toward the truck. So basically, you want to put that radius on the inside. Go ahead and insert our hardware. So basically, that's a rough mock-up of how these are going to sit. Obviously, we're going to have to jack my rear axle up because it's at full droop right now. You want at least 5 to 7 inches between the top and the bottom mount. And in some cases, you guys will have to use a spacer, but you guys can see here, we have just enough room over the top. So we're not gonna have to use spacers, which is really nice. So this will keep the low profile. And then also, just looking at it here, what I'm going to do is probably take this 90-degree fitting and go right through the frame, right through it, come in right on the other side. So now what I need to do is go ahead, get the rear axle jacked up, then we have to mark our holes and drill our holes. We're moving right along. Now what we have to do is just center up our airbag here. And you guys can opt to use a spacer in the front to get the optimal height for your application. Obviously, they want 5 to 7 inches between the top and the bottom bracket. If you guys need extra room, you can use those spacers it comes with. I have 7 3/8 here, so we're good to go. Now, keep in mind this bag is not inflated, so once we inflate the bag, it's going to lift the suspension up. So keep in mind the proper height for your application. Now, you guys can see the bracket's actually uneven on one side. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the bag and flex it a little bit, and I'm going to center punch the holes right there, using a spring-loaded punch. Then I'm going to use a titanium bit with a little bit of WD-40, and we're going to go through the top and the bottom of each bracket. All right, you guys, sorry it's a little dark in here, but you guys can see we went ahead, used a 1/4 inch titanium drill bit. So go ahead and take 2 your 3/8 bolts. It'll be the black ones. Go ahead and stick them. I went ahead and drilled 2 bolts. Now it'll keep this locked in position. And since you guys have constant pressure on it, we can go ahead and get our top holes drilled. Now, depending on if you guys go with the bottom or the top, my orientation, I'm going with the top and then the middle bolt, or the second from the bottom on both sides. Then once we get that, we can go ahead. All right, you guys, well, as far as drilling holes, we are good to go. You guys are going to use the black bolts provided, and then it'll be a big flat washer, and then the locking nylon nuts on the inside of the frame. I'll show you guys that on the other side. Went ahead and got both of our sides drilled. Everything's loose still. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and assemble the U-bolts on this side just so I have a reference and I can show you. And then also want to go ahead and tighten these top hardware and the bottom hardware. We went ahead, got all the bolts tightened. What I did was I used a 1/4 inch bit, and in the instructions you're going to go up to a 3/8. So I did a 1/4 up to a 3/8, no big deal. And what I did was I started with 1 bolt. I drilled the bottom first, and then once I got the bottom bolts in loosely, I marked the top, drilled the top, and then I used 2 fingers on both sides as a set point. You know, I took both my hands, put my fingers here, and that was my spacing. The top bolts, these get tightened and torqued down to 44. The bottom get tightened down to 16. We're back here in the shade, it's a little warm. So got the truck suspended. I got the jack stands underneath the axles. Not gonna go anywhere. Gave it the old shake test. We're good to go. So I had to get the jack stands out from underneath the rear hitch, put them up here because I need room to get the creeper under here to work. But other than that, I wanted to show you, we got the bags all installed. You guys can see they're kind of like this right now. Keep in mind the suspension's elevated. It's compressed right now. So this bag does not ride like that. I just took it to town and I had to go get another T push lock fitting. They only give you one in the compressor kit, and I thought it came with another one in the bag kit, but they only give you lines that go back and screw into the license plate holes to put trailer valves so you can pump it up individually. But that's not the case with mine because I've already got a compressor kit on board. So what I did was I ran the air lines up on the top through the frame rail, and I'll show you guys the other side, and I put a piece of wire loom on both sides. It's 1/4 inch, and this is all 1/4 inch push lock fitting and a nylon hose. But you guys can see I went ahead and got the fittings all tightened up. They want you to tighten these bolts, the U-bolts, down to 16 foot-pounds. I just ran them down hand tight, and I used Loctite on all the hardware again. So now that also they want you to cut the extra slack off if you guys have them. You don't have to, but I'm going to, because especially, you know, this kind of gets close right here with this back stud. Well, the install's 100% done, so I had to go to Napa and get one more T fitting, because this is the one it comes with in the compressor kit, and this one right here that's at my finger does not come with another T fitting. So the only thing I'm invested out of pocket besides the kit for the compressor and the airbag kit is I had to supply 2 washers, small ones on the driver's side, and then I had to supply 1 T fitting, so I'm probably in it like 22 bucks. The fitting itself was 20 bucks. You could have ordered it cheaper on Amazon, but I just didn't feel like waiting. I wanted this done. And then I just used another piece of nylon tubing, teed it off into the front of that one, then the feed in, then the other feed in for the other airbag. And I just ran them down the frame on both sides, got wire loom. So now we can go inside the cab and hit the switch. Oh, the gauge is moving. Can you guys see that? Slowly but surely. And we can bleed it off up here. So let's go ahead and go up to 20 pounds. I can feel the back of the truck rising. Obviously you guys can't, but there's 20 pounds. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. Sweet. So there we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave 20 pounds in the bag, and I'm going to go ahead and spray some soapy water in all the push lock fittings, and then the couple T's up there, make sure we don't have any air leaks. Once we check out there, I'm going to come back, trim these studs. We'll put the wheels back on, and I'll show you guys what it looks like all done. All right, you guys, well, the install is 100% done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it wasn't 100% step-by-step. There's plenty of other videos out there. This was kind of just a generic overview on how I installed my setup. I only had one little leak, which was very accessible. It was this passenger side airbag. I just had to tighten up this push lock fitting a little bit. That soapy water definitely helped. So we're all good to go there. I went ahead and chopped these studs off, went ahead and hit it with some black spray paint so we don't have any rust issues. Other than that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this install video. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, share with your friends and family. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We have plenty of awesome Ford content coming on the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.